Ma'am, you need to get up. You don't belong in first class.
I paid for this seat. I'm not moving.
This is your last warning. Stand up now.
I have a valid ticket. This is my seat.
You're being non-compliant. I will have you removed.
You're making a serious mistake. My documents are right here.
I've seen enough. Get up now.
No, I'm staying right here.
This is your last warning.
The cabin cameras caught everything, every word, every look, every choice made in that moment. What seemed like a simple seat dispute was already turning into something far more serious. The tension was real, and the power in that aisle felt one-sided. The sheriff had no idea that the woman he was trying to remove had spent years working at the highest level of the legal system. She was calm, controlled, and fully aware of what was happening. She wasn't guessing. She wasn't unsure. She knew the law, and she knew exactly where she stood. Seated quietly in first class, with her documents in hand, was a state judge, someone trusted to make decisions that shape lives, someone trained to remain steady under pressure, and someone who had built a career on fairness, discipline, and truth. But in that moment, none of that mattered to the man standing in the aisle. Because he had already made up his mind. And that decision was about to cost him everything. Before we go further, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And if you believe people in power should be held accountable when they cross the line, make sure you subscribe, because this story is only just getting started. She had boarded the plane early, before most of the passengers. While others rushed in with bags and noise, she moved with quiet purpose. She placed her small carry-on neatly above her seat, then sat down in first class without drawing attention. She wore a simple, clean suit, pressed and sharp. Her posture was straight, her face calm. From the start, she kept to herself. She opened a leather briefcase and took out a set of papers. They were not random notes or light reading. Each page was clean, marked, and carefully arranged. Some had official stamps. Others had notes written in the margins. She read slowly, turning each page with care, focused and steady. Even as people walked past her, she did not look up much. Her attention stayed on her work. Every now and then, she paused, thinking, then made a small note with her pen. There was no rush in her actions. No stress. Just quiet control. To anyone paying close attention, the signs were there. This was not just another passenger. This was someone used to order. Someone used to focus. Someone who carried responsibility in the way she moved, the way she sat, even in the way she looked at each page. What no one around her knew yet was the full truth. She had spent years working in the legal system. Long days. Hard cases. Careful decisions. She had built a name for being fair, strict, and honest. Just weeks ago, she had been given a new role, one that few ever reach. She was now a state judge. A person trusted to make decisions that change lives. A person trained to stay calm under pressure. A person who understood the law better than most people in that cabin. And now, sitting quietly in that seat, she was being told she did not belong there. They didn't see it yet. But they were about to learn. They had picked the wrong person. The man standing in the aisle was not just any passenger. He was a county sheriff with over 15 years in law enforcement. He had worked long hours, handled tough cases, and built a strong name in his department. People knew him as someone who took control fast and did not back down. Many called his style assertive. He gave orders, expected quick action, and did not like to be questioned. To him, being in charge meant staying firm at all times. He believed that showing doubt was a sign of weakness. Over the years, there had been complaints. Some people said he judged too quickly. Others said he treated certain people unfairly. A few reports mentioned profiling. But none of it had stopped his rise. No real action had been taken against him. Each time, he walked away with his badge and his power still in place. And that power had shaped the way he acted. He was used to making fast choices. Used to thinking he was right. Used to people stepping back when he spoke. In his world, control came first, and questions came later. Even now, he was not on duty. He was just another passenger on a morning flight. No uniform. No patrol car. No active case. But the way he stood, the way he spoke, the way he looked at others. It was clear he still saw himself as the one in charge. He did not ask. He told. He did not listen. He decided. To him, this was a simple problem. A woman in a seat where he believed she did not belong. And like many times before, he moved in to fix it his way. But what he did not realize was this was not the kind of moment he could control. And this was not the first time he had made a choice like this. It was just the first time it would cost him everything. The sheriff had already spoken to a flight attendant before walking over. He pointed toward the front row, his voice low but firm. The attendant looked unsure, glancing at her tablet, then back at him. After a short pause, she gave a small nod and stepped aside. That was when he moved down the aisle. He stopped next to the woman's seat and looked down at her. She slowly looked up from her papers, calm as before. No sign of worry. No sign of anger. "Ma'am," he said, keeping his voice firm, "there's been a seat mix-up." She blinked once, then listened. "This section is full," he continued. "You'll need to move to your assigned seat." There was a short silence. The woman did not argue. She did not raise her voice. She simply reached into her bag and pulled out her boarding pass. Holding it steady, she showed it to him. "This is my assigned seat," she said. Her tone was clear. Respectful. Certain. The sheriff barely looked at the paper. His eyes moved over it for less than a second before he shook his head. "No," he said quickly. "That's not correct." She paused, then reached again into her bag. This time, she took out her ID. She held it up, giving him another chance to see. He glanced at it, but not fully. Not carefully. His focus was already made up. "I'm telling you, ma'am, there's been a mistake," he said. "You need to move." Around them, the air began to change. A few passengers leaned slightly into the aisle, watching. The flight attendant stood nearby, now more tense than before. But the woman stayed the same. Calm. Logical. Respectful. She lowered her hand slowly, keeping both her boarding pass and Idaho close. "I understand what you're saying," she replied, her voice steady. "But this is my seat." The sheriff's jaw tightened. He had heard her. He just chose not to believe her. The sheriff's face grew tight. His voice, once firm, now rose louder. "Ma'am, I'm not going to ask again," he said. "You need to get up. Now." The woman looked at him, still calm. She did not rush. She did not argue. She only held his gaze, steady and quiet. "I have shown you my seat," she said. "I am not moving." That was enough. The sheriff stepped closer into the aisle, his voice now sharp, easy for others to hear. "If you don't comply," he said, "I'll have you escorted off this plane." A low murmur moved through the cabin. More heads turned. Some passengers leaned into the aisle. Others looked at each other, unsure of what they were seeing. The flight attendant shifted her weight, clearly uneasy. She glanced at the woman's ticket again, then back at the sheriff. For a moment, it seemed like she might speak up. But she didn't. Instead, she gave a small nod toward the sheriff, choosing to stand with him. "Ma'am," she added softly, "it may be easier if you just move for now." The woman did not react. Her hands rested on her lap, her papers still neat, her posture unchanged. "I am in my assigned seat," she repeated. The sheriff let out a short breath, then reached toward his shoulder out of habit. His hand paused for a second, no radio. He was off duty. But that didn't stop him. He pulled out his phone instead and stepped slightly back into the aisle. "Yeah," he said into it, his voice low but urgent. "I need support at the gate. We've got a refusal." The word sent a clear message. This was no longer a simple check. This was turning into a removal. The tension rose fast. A man across the aisle lifted his phone higher, now clearly recording. Someone whispered, "This is getting out of hand." The woman sat still in the center of it all. Calm. Unmoved. While around her, the moment grew louder, tighter, and harder to stop. And now, everyone was watching. The shift in the cabin is clear now. More phones come out, one by one. A man across the aisle holds his up at chest level, trying to keep it steady. A woman near the window leans slightly into the aisle, her camera pointed straight ahead. From behind, another passenger raises their phone just above the seat, capturing everything from a higher angle. Small red lights blink on. Recording. A quiet voice whispers from 2 rows back, "She showed her ticket." Another voice answers, a little louder, "This doesn't look right." The words spread softly, like a wave moving through the seats. No one speaks too loud, but everyone is watching now. Eyes locked on the same moment. From one angle, you can see the sheriff standing tall in the aisle, blocking the path. From another, you see the woman sitting still, her hands resting on her lap, her papers untouched. From the side, the flight attendant stands frozen, caught between doubt and duty. It feels like a body cam view, tight, close, focused on every move. The space is narrow. Every step, every word, fills the frame. The sheriff notices the phones. He just doesn't care. His focus stays on the woman. His voice stays firm. His stance does not change. If anything, he leans in more, trying to hold control as the moment grows. "Ma'am, this is your final warning," he says. But now, his words are not just heard by her. They are being saved. From every angle, every second is being captured. Every choice, every tone, every look. The woman remains calm, her face steady, her voice quiet when she speaks again. "I have done nothing wrong." The tension thickens. Because now, this is no longer just a private moment on a plane. This is evidence. And while the sheriff pushes forward, ignoring the eyes, the cameras, the rising doubt around him, he is digging himself deeper. And everyone can see it. The sound of steps comes from the front of the plane. 2 officers enter from the gate, moving down the aisle with quick, firm steps. The sheriff straightens, as if support has finally arrived. He steps back slightly, making space, but keeps his eyes on the woman. "This is her," he says, pointing. Refusing to follow orders. The officers look at the woman. Then at the sheriff. Then back at her again. For a moment, no one speaks. Then, the woman slowly lifts her hand. "Before you continue," she says, her voice calm but clear, "I suggest you look at my full identification." The words cut through the noise. One of the officers pauses. He steps closer. She opens her leather briefcase again, this time with care. From inside, she takes out a second form of ID. Not rushed. Not shaken. Just steady. She holds it up. The officer takes it and looks down. His eyes move across the card. Then they stop. His face changes. The shift is small at first, but clear. His posture tightens. His eyes widen just a little. He looks again, slower this time, making sure. Silence falls over the row. The second officer leans in. "What is it?" he asks quietly. The first officer does not answer right away. Instead, he looks up at the woman. then back at the ID. Then at the sheriff. "Sir," he says, his voice lower now, more careful. "You might want to take a look at this." The sheriff reaches for it, his confidence still in place. But as he reads, it slips. The title stands clear. State Judge. The air changes in an instant. No whispers now. No movement. Just stillness. The officer hands the ID back with both hands, a sign of respect. "I'm sorry, Your Honor," he says. The words land hard. And just like that, everything shifts. For a moment, the sheriff does not move. The words hang in the air, "Your Honor." His hand lowers slowly, the last bit of confidence slipping from his face. The strong stance he held just seconds ago begins to fade. His eyes shift, no longer steady, no longer sure. One of the officers steps closer to him and gently touches his arm. "Sir, can I speak with you?" he says in a low voice. They move a few steps down the aisle, just far enough to speak in private. The officer leans in and whispers quickly, his tone urgent. The sheriff listens, his jaw tight, his face growing pale with each word. He glances back at the woman, then at the phone still pointed in his direction. Back in the row, the flight attendant stands frozen. Her hands are clasped together, her smile gone. She looks at the woman, then down at the floor, clearly unsure of what to do next. Another crew member near the front peeks down the aisle, sensing the shift but not yet stepping in. The calm order of the cabin is gone. In its place is quiet panic. The sheriff walks back slowly. His steps are no longer firm. His voice, when he speaks, is softer now, careful. "Ma'am." He begins, clearing his throat. This seems to be a misunderstanding. He pauses, searching for the right words, but they don't come easily anymore. "I was just trying to, assist the situation." The woman looks at him, her expression unchanged. Calm. Steady. Watching. Around them, the phones are still up. Still recording. Every word. Every pause. Every shift in tone. There is no taking it back now. No quiet fix. No way to hide what just happened. The power he held only moments ago is gone, slipping away in front of everyone. And in its place, is the truth, clear and exposed. His authority does not just weaken. It collapses. What happens next is fast, and there is no way to stop it. The sheriff is quietly pulled aside by the officers. No shouting. No fight. Just firm instructions. He is told to step away from the situation immediately. His badge is not taken on the spot, but his control is already gone. Within minutes, he is escorted off the plane. The cabin stays silent as he leaves. No one claps. No one speaks. Only the soft sound of recording phones still in the air. The flight crew begins writing reports right away. Every detail is noted. Every word is documented. The airline takes it seriously. A formal report is filed before the plane even moves. By the time the flight finally prepares again, the situation is no longer just about one seat. It has become something much bigger. An internal investigation is opened into the sheriff's actions. His department is contacted. His conduct is now under review, not just for this incident, but for everything tied to his name. And that is when old files begin to resurface. Past complaints that were once ignored are brought back up. Reports about profiling. Reports about misuse of authority. Things that had been buried quietly before are now being looked at closely again. But this time, there are cameras. This time, there is evidence. And it spreads quickly. The videos from the plane go viral within hours. Clips are shared again and again. People break down every moment, frame by frame. His voice. His threats. His silence when the truth is revealed. News channels pick it up next. Headlines begin to form. His name appears across screens, across feeds, across conversations. Public reaction is sharp and fast. Some are shocked. Some are angry. Many are asking the same question. How did this happen in the first place? Inside his department, pressure builds. Meetings are called. Statements are prepared. Distance is created. And for the sheriff, the damage is no longer just about one flight. It is everything. His reputation begins to fall apart in real time. In the days that follow, the situation moves from public shock to legal action. A lawsuit is officially filed against the sheriff. The case includes serious claims of discrimination and abuse of authority. Lawyers review every second of footage from the plane. Every word he said is replayed, studied, and added to the case file. The evidence is strong. Too strong to ignore. Soon, the case grows beyond just one incident. It becomes a wider example of how power was used the wrong way. The airline, the department, and the legal system all come under pressure to respond. After negotiations and review, a large settlement is reached. The amount is never fully shared with the public, but it is clear it is significant. The airline chooses to settle quickly, hoping to close the case and move forward. But the story does not end there. Inside the sheriff's department, changes begin to happen. New rules are announced. Mandatory bias training is introduced for officers. Oversight policies are reviewed and strengthened. Leaders say they want to prevent anything like this from happening again. At the same time, the sheriff himself faces direct consequences. First, he is suspended from duty while the investigation continues. His badge is taken away during review. He is no longer allowed to work cases or represent the department in any way. Then, after the final findings are released, the decision is made. He is officially terminated. No return. No reinstatement. No second chance in that role. The news spreads quickly, adding another layer to the story that had already gone viral. Some see it as justice finally working. Others see it as a warning about misuse of power. But for many people who watched the footage from that flight, the outcome feels clear. What happened was not just a mistake. It was a system being forced to correct itself in public view. And in the end, accountability finally caught up. They thought they could remove her without question. From the very first moment, it looked simple to them. A seat dispute. A passenger refusing to move. An easy case of authority being used without challenge. The kind of situation they believed would end in minutes, with no resistance and no consequences. But they were wrong. They did not realize who they were dealing with. They did not see beyond the calm voice, the quiet response, and the steady hands. They did not take the time to understand the person sitting in that seat, or the life behind her presence. They had chosen the wrong person to push. Because she was not just another passenger. She was someone trained to see the truth, to judge carefully, and to stand firm under pressure. And in that moment, her silence was not weakness. It was strength. What started as control quickly turned into exposure. Every action was recorded. Every word was remembered. Every mistake was seen by everyone. The power that was meant to silence her instead revealed everything around them. And in the end, it was not her position that caused the shift. It was the truth. The system did not protect power that day. It exposed it. What was meant to be an example of authority became an example of accountability. What was meant to be a removal became a record. And what was meant to be forgotten became a story the world would not stop watching. For many people, it became more than just an incident on a plane. It became a reminder that assumptions can fail, that power can be misused, and that truth can come from the most unexpected moments. And for those who watched it unfold, one thing stayed clear long after the plane landed. They did not just see a conflict. They saw a system correct itself in real time. If this made you think differently about police accountability and racial profiling, share it with someone who needs to see it. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to keep bringing you stories that matter. Drop a comment. Do you think $675,000 was enough? What would real accountability look like? See you in the next one.